I feel like that got away from me for a second, but I wrapped it back around. It's weird that like your husband doesn't know how to do that. Yes. I
Absolutely.
do. I
Fucking
won't lie to you. I
disgusting.
have a very big love-hate with the phrase "outbreed the atheists."
So Dan, I think everyone can agree. Women are awful, right? However,
I want you to know
you
that when you
gotta, you
said you
gotta,
came
you
in
gotta
with
work with
when
me
you said you were
here.
gonna come in with an intro, I wasn't prepared to immediately get canceled. Like with it, like usually we wait like 30 seconds or 40 seconds before we say something heinous, but I wasn't prepared for a out the gate. Let's throw ourselves collectively off this bridge. But all right, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. We all know this.
As we all know, women are awful. But have you ever considered, Dan, that women hold the opinion that men are awful?
I have in fact considered that.
Now, well, men, they suck. We all are familiar with that, but recently, I've been getting an awful lot of content about how wives hate their husbands, which is, if I may say, a delightful flip of the trope. Usually, it's husbands hating their wives. Oh, the old ball and chain.
As we all know.
My wife back at home says I can't ever have fun. Blah, 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 blah. We all know these. They're the classics. They're the heavy hitters. Women suck. We get it. Boom. Boomer humor.
Reliable, if you will.
Old reliable about the old ball and chain. Exactly. However,
now and again in life.
Now and again, in this, the world where we're all trying to move past thinking like that, a true ray of light comes in and shines light on the fact that husbands are actually the worst, and they're selfish, evil people who are lazy.
I mean, same.
I, of course,
also
am talking about the recent trend of mom life comics being shared around.
I gotta be honest, I have not seen these until you brought them up, like right before we went live.
They've been all over my Twitter feed for the past few days. I need to clarify. I just put some dots together, connected some dots here. The opening of Women Suck was not for me to go into shitting on this comic artist.
Yeah, nice save.
I want to clarify that. It was, in fact, a joke based on the old ball and chain. I just didn't think it through. Anyway, we're back to it.
Now you understand why my instant reaction was, huh, all right, buddy, let's see how this plays out.
You sell every one of the things I do, so like it's a 50-50.
That's fair. But yeah, I'm looking at these, and I gotta be honest, I've seen these show up now and again, right? I recognize the art style, but overall, I haven't seen a lot of these.
Yeah, just like, I don't know. I'm seeing these, and it's this mom who's shitting on her husband for being, I'm so excited for my birthday. It's the one day I won't have to do dishes or make lunches. And then the mom is like, does he think he doesn't have to be a parent on his birthday? Interesting. And then there's like a full 3 paragraphs over in the description talking about, my husband said this to me about 2 weeks ago while we were doing the dishes, and I've been laughing about it ever since. His birthday is this Tuesday. No one tell him that being an adult/parent doesn't stop on your birthday, okay? I want him to enjoy another day of living in this fantasy world before he wakes up on Tuesday and realizes that parenting never stops. I fucking hate parents.
Yes,
all right?
Like
Bear with me, Dan.
No.
Bear with me.
I'm with you. You already have me at hello.
Much in the sense of people who we'll call this like we see it, all right? Much in the sense of conservative Christians who get married so that they can have sex. And obviously the marriage doesn't go great because they just got married so they could get laid.
I mean, who did?
The same kind of people immediately have kids because they think that you're pressured into getting married, you have unhappy marriages. You're pressured once you're married into having kids when you don't want kids. And it's, oh, kids, the fucking worst. I hate children. Children are the worst part of my life. My little bundle of joy. I hate him, but he's perfect and I wouldn't give him up for the world. Like, I hate that so much. Like, I can't imagine being a child in a home like that where you are very clearly not wanted. Like, especially, I mean, like, being in a mommy blog house aside, because that's
its own nightmare.
Oh, that's bad.
I think it's one of those interesting things where I feel like I have a take. take, and I think that you're gonna agree with it in principle, though maybe not in the exact way that I'm phrasing it.
I'm so
People
excited.
who desperately want to be parents
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes are the exact people that shouldn't be parents. I think there's a healthy way to want to have kids. Like I know a friend of the show, Kesney. Kesney has talked about
Mm-hmm.
wanting to have kids, and I think Kesney will be a fucking amazing mom, to be clear.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
But I think that she wants kids because she wants to be like, rather than wanting kids, she doesn't want kids. She wants to be a parent, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Does that phrasing work? Like the important thing.
I think I get where you're coming from.
I think that phrasing is poor, but I think
the
you understand the
concept
idea.
of you don't want to have another person in the house so that you can have a child. You want to be a parent to a child. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. I think that Kesney will be great at that, and I think there are plenty of parents who absolutely will be great at that. I also think there are plenty of parents who, kind of like you said, are either having kids because they feel like they have to. They feel like it will make, for the big one I see a lot, I feel like, is that they think that it'll make them like more fulfilled somehow, which is, hoo boy, don't put that on your kids, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like a lot of parents, I feel like it's the same way for a lot of like, oddly, and this is a weird like comparison to drive, but like cops, people who desperately want to be cops probably shouldn't be cops. Like, because while there are people who want to be cops to help people and be good, there are also people who want to be cops because of like power and privilege.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Or like a lot of leadership roles in the same way. Like it's
a guy I know who wanted to be a cop was literally because he was racist.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there is a certain subsect of parenting that lends itself to a similar idea of like I want to be able to tell people I want to be a parent for the wrong reasons, I guess would be the way to say that. I think there are a lot of people who want to be parents or want to do a lot of things for just,
I mean, I'm sure you've seen the
deeply-
TikTok of the religious parent who's just like, the average atheist household has 2 children, but if I have 4 children, that means that my household outnumbers theirs 2-1, and then I convert one of their children and I outnumber them blah 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 to 1.
I've
Blah, blah,
never
blah,
seen
blah,
this
blah,
in my
blah.
life. And
You've never seen that?
Noah,
Holy shit, dude!
I think your
oh
TikTok
my God.
and mine are different. Call it a hunch.
No. Yeah, but this was immediately duetted with people being like, you think that you and your crazy fundamentalist family is going to keep your kids religious? You think they're not going to jump ship, at least one of them?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it was very funny. Because it's everyone immediately being like, hey buddy, that's not how life works. And also, way to say that you're literally just trying to
Outbreed the atheists.
Outbreed the atheists. Fucking disgusting. Absolutely.
I won't lie to you. I have a very big love-hate with the phrase "outbreed the atheists." That's simultaneously horrifically disgusting, but also that's very funny.
It's but yes, the concept that someone thinks that's a good idea is insane to me, and that's funny. The sentence itself, though, no.
No, I get that. That's fair. I'm gonna have a new punk rock band, and their song is gonna be Outbreed the Fundamentalists.
That's too many words.
It's true.
Fundamentalist, you expect punks to know what that word means?
That's a long word. That's true. That's on me. You know
say
what?
Fundies.
Outbreed the Fundies. That's pretty good. I'm here for it.
Oh, I still hate that. Fucking hell, I hate that. But yeah, the Mom Life comics thing. I'm flipping through it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been got by a couple of memes that I thought were legit, but they were not.
But in this case,
but then the original is still not good.
So,
leaving the house with the kids. I bring snacks, extra clothes, mittens, hats, hand sanitizer, wipes, masks, kids' coats, bag of my stuff, drinks for kids, and more snacks. My husband brings his keys, and it's like
there's a conversation here too, and actually I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you and Nina have had a similar conversation before, or have had almost if not exactly the same conversation before, where like there is so in the same way that there was a societal expectation of how men should behave, right? And like the man's role in a household or whatever.
Mhm.
I am glad to see that there's been a counter expectation of like, hey, we're not doing this, right? But I find it interesting to find that there are still ways in which that like manifests, right? Like in many ways, Michelle is still the primary like cook, for example, because that's just what she prefers to do. But it sounds problematic when I say that my wife cooks all my meals, right? Like and I don't know if there's been a conversation that you guys have had of like, hey, is it basically am I doing enough? Am I doing the things that I should be doing in the ways that I should be doing?
When I say we have reasonably regular conversations about it, it makes it seem like we have problems about that. That's not what I mean.
Exactly, and same here.
But in that sense, I mean, like, yeah, it's just check-ins of, hey, are we both still good? Am I not doing enough dishes / laundry? Like the usual shit. Like just checking in. Hey, I haven't done laundry in a while. Is everything cool? And it's like, yeah. Got the laundry, you did the dishes recently, everything's solid. Like we both just kind of do things, and then every now and then we reconnect and it's fine. But I think that there's stuff like this where it's glorifying mom life, but like mom life derogatory.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I
absolutely
mean?
mom life.
Because
that is exactly what it is.
Because this is just like, and for the record, the leaving the house with the kids thing, the first time I saw it, instead of the husband holding keys, it said, my husband brings his driving wine, which I'm like, is that, I thought it was real. It was such a clean edit. I was super stupid and believed it. I
loved that though.
It was so funny.
That's very, very, very good.
But yeah, mom blogs a lot of the time seem to like revel in this, oh, look at me, I'm so downtrodden and my lazy sack of shit husband doesn't help. LOL, just kidding. He at least pays for things. Haha, but who's the real parent here? Like,
I hate that. I hate the real parent thing.
It's such a gross attitude because there are some dads who shouldn't be dads, just like there's moms who shouldn't be moms. Absolutely. Like the dads that say, I'm babysitting my kids this weekend when they're not separated.
You're an adult
or
and
whatever.
Your kids. Yeah.
Like, and it's not like a custody thing where like you never have the kids, but this weekend you have them. Sure. Maybe if you want to be really shitty, you could say that that's babysitting your kids. I'm not giving you a pass still.
No.
But like,
you're on thin fucking ice at best.
Such a gross attitude. By the way, welcome to Off the Air, the show where two married people with no kids are gonna bitch about married people with kids.
You know what though? I think like as much as yes, we are two married people without kids. We are married people who are, as far as I can tell, both in very, very healthy relationships, who like are looking at these relationships and being like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
If I may say, I don't know about you guys, but I know actually, very funny thing. When I was talking to Nina's dad, being like, hey, I want to marry your kid. And he was just like,
your kid, she's real cute. I want to marry you.
We talk about it real quick. And at one point, he's just like, just so you know, I don't think Nina wants to have kids. Just, I feel like that's something you should know ahead of time, just in case. And I'm like, oh yeah, no worries. We already talked about that because of course we had already talked about that. Because of course you've already talked about that. Exactly. Like, because you're adults. If I am approaching her family, I have, I don't know how to tell you this. I already talked to her. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's crazy. And, imagine talking to your future wife. Okay.
I know. Disgusting.
Imagine not having an arranged marriage with someone that you've never met. Okay, cringe.
The funniest reveal was Nina being like, how did my dad know that? I've literally never told him that.
That's amazing, first of all. Yeah, no, but absolutely. Like, that is exactly, I think, the thing. It's like, what do you mean? Like, of course we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know, man. Like, I have no issues with, like, kids out and about.
No, of course.
In fact, I would go so far as to say that sometimes I actually like spending time with kids out and about, but I also know my own limits. I'm not ready to take care of a dog yet, much less children,
It could let in a child.
The scariest STD of all. Also, people that refer to kids as like crotch goblins and the worst STD, hate that.
A little bit cringe.
Yeah, it's just like, I get it, dude. You hate your kids. Stop. I don't know, man. It's just, this is the thing that's been on my mind this week because it's been everywhere on my Twitter. Just these little cartoon people with, it's it's a lot of them have the same energy of my child will share the word of the Lord. My child will ignore and keep scrolling. But it's about couples with children.
I gotta tell you, that is one of my favorite, like that's such a funny thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
My child. No, and I think it's really interesting because I do agree with you. I think it's this weird dichotomy. Like, people absolutely do glorify different parts of it in like definitely not healthy ways.
100% not healthy ways.
And that's I mean, on one hand, that's very sad. Like no mistake. It's deeply sad that that's the situation people find themselves in. And and also I'm like, my brother in Christ, you had the kid. Like I don't
this
know
isn't even getting into the fact that some people think using condoms, not even other birth control options, but that using condoms is against God's will.
That's its own nightmare.
Insane.
That's its own nightmare world that we live in.
It's just like, I don't know, man. I just hate that attitude. I hate the attitude. I would never want to be a kid in a home where I didn't feel wanted, and I would never want to be a kid in a home where it was clear that you just had some extra kids so that you could take care of the kids you already had, you know?
Big yikes, that one hits. No, I feel that though, and it's really sad is what it is. Like truly. It's sad that that's like the world that some parents, and truly like on some level it is also sad for the like that's the world some parents find themselves in. Like, hey, I thought I wanted a kid and turns out I didn't. Well, yeah, that sucks. Like it sucks to be you. Like I don't want to make it like a ooh, I'm sorry your life is so hard. But also like, I don't know. Sometimes it's more work than you expect, I guess. I don't know. I just my point being to all this is that like it does definitely bother me seeing these kinds of very toxic viewpoints on children. It's one thing if me as somebody as dual income no kids be like, yes, the crotch goblins have arrived again. It's another thing if the parent of the child says that. Those do not have the same energy. Those are different vibes distinctly. Some might even say they're like opposite vibes. Yeah. I don't have kids. All this to say, don't ever have kids. Fight the system.
Hell yeah.
I'm still scrolling down these stupid comments, and I like the motherhood thing aside, I'm also seeing things like, where'd it go? Hold on. Yeah, this 5 lies that patriarchy tells us about our male partners. Like, men aren't very good at multitasking. Women are much better at it. Men just don't see household mess like women do. Like, do people actually still think these?
Yes.
And the other thing that I find interesting with these is that like I think it's fascinating to kind of break down almost like the background reasoning, right? Like the one here is like men are bad at finding things. They just aren't as detail oriented. And I look at my own house and I'm like, yeah, that is true. I'm bad at finding things. But it's not because of the fucking patriarchy. It's because I have shitty eyesight and ADHD. Like, fuck off. Like, I don't know. And like, the mess thing, I think is something that I actually do still see that a lot. And it's something that, I don't know, I find it very interesting that like, in some ways that I do find that to be true, but I don't think it's a men thing. I think it's a personality thing, right? Like it's a person, not you can't just say things like that about an entire group of people.
Oh God, this is. I went back to the feed again, and it's making me more annoyed.
I'm still scrolling through it. It's rough.
It's just because I don't know, man. I don't know why you would want to live. Why would you choose to live like this? Like, yeah, you win some internet points. Congratulations. And yeah, cool. It's like this recent thing that's like the most recent post made yesterday. That's just the artist being attacked by a bunch of trolls saying when a woman says anything on the internet, with a little line through that isn't 100% positive. And it's like, yeah, man, it does suck that you're getting like hate brigaded. That's not cool. But also, like, sorry that you like struck a nerve with, yes, a bunch of shitty people, but also a bunch of people that are just like, hey, man, why are you being like this? Because based on some of these other posts, you know for a fact that the artist is thinking any of the trolls and stuff like that are coming at her are like right-wing people.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be a left-leaning person, which is great.
Yeah, good.
I just wish that they hadn't. I wish that they weren't feeding back. Like 5 lies the patriarchy tells us about our male partners, like all that stuff. It's like, yeah, this line that these 5 lies hurt both men and women.
Great.
But they hurt women more because they're the ones doing the majority of second shift work. Whatever. Like that is like it hurts both sides. And perpetuating the mom side of things, where it's just like, hey, blah 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 blah. Husbands, am I right?
Well, I think it also is like an interesting thing of almost a Michelle and I had this conversation recently of like because I'm scrolling, I'm still scrolling, and I'm also finding like one of those things that's almost well, moms just care more about certain things, right? Like, oh, where is this? Where'd it go? The mom superpowers knows how to cut their child's bread the correct way to cut the crust off of bread, right? There is also, I think, a societal like the way people have been raised kind of thing, because those are the kind of things that I would never even like. Sure, it does suck that like you're expected to know how to do that, and that's it's weird that like your husband doesn't know how to do that. Yes, that's not even a thing I would have ever considered it. Not because I wouldn't care about my kids, just because like that's almost not societally what we're expected, not societally, not what we're trained and brought up and taught to consider. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? And I do feel like there is something there of like societally, these are the things that still are being propagated as kids, especially like as kids growing up, especially. And things like, hey, Michelle takes care of a lot of. I'm bringing it up again, bringing it back to my thing because I do think that like it's important to like make it
keep
clear
it grounded so that we're not just making wild statements about things that we're not connected to.
Which
we are. So it's
we are absolutely.
Let's tie it in.
Just a lot of these things of like knowing not even necessarily where things go, but having preferences for where things go, and having like oh, why does my husband always have to ask me where to put this? He should just know. And on one hand, I get that, but also like just communicate, goddammit. Like just be like, hey, honey,
I'm about to go boomer mode again.
Please,
I know,
please
2 weeks in a row, Noah's going boomer mode.
A mega boomer tier.
Part of this, I think, is, get ready for this, Dan, social media's fault. Now bear with me, because I'm about to sound like I'm ranting on like some weird show. But I do believe that a lot of stuff people just didn't talk about is now super, super, super commonplace to just talk about as a, oh yeah, and we all know this, that type of attitude, you know? And then talking about personal things that shouldn't not that you shouldn't talk about personal things, but just people overshare a lot now, because there's a way to overshare very easily. People have always overshared. It's not just because Facebook exists. It's not just because Twitter and Instagram exist, but it did make it easier. And I don't know, it's the same as like I'll see people who I know on Facebook who are younger, for example, and they don't know how to keep private things private, and they'll shit talk their jobs while they're friends with people at that job. I don't know why you would do that. Some people have done that, and they're older than me, you know, like, so it's not just a young people problem, but it is, you know, people who somehow didn't learn social media etiquette of, hey, don't shit talk the people that like can see your posts. Like, preferably don't shit talk people on social media, but like definitely don't do it where they can see, you know? And that's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, I feel like that has hurt a lot of things, because we also, on top of all that now, get to have the fun times of, you know, like this comic blog, where this is a very targeted, like, two moms thing, which is perpetuating some of the mom stereotypes. And it's this, oh, here it is, Dan. It's the same as glorifying burnout culture.
Yes, that is a great comparison.
Where it's just like you all day you talk about how overworked you are, how stressed you are, this, that, the other thing, but then you also say, make sure to take time for yourself so you don't get burnt out like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure I agree 100%.
You're quite familiar.
Well, and it's the same, like the directly correlated to the hustle culture.
Man, I hate hustle culture.
I have God save. I just want to leave me alone and don't shame me for wanting to nap. Fuck off.
Honestly,
it's definitely, and I think that burnout culture is interesting as a thing, because it is also very much. It's just, I'm so tired all the time. Like, I'm just, oh man, I just don't have time anymore. And it's like, well, on some level, I get that, right? I don't get me wrong. I say that all the time. On the other level, you also do have to accept that, hey, maybe it's okay to complain about it and not ask for a solution. But if you're actually asking for a solution, the answer is don't do as much. Right? Like, I have no time anymore. I have no time in my day to day. Truly, I don't. But if I stopped streaming and stopped having D&D 3 nights a week, suddenly I would have a whole lot more time. Like, it's my own fault. And I almost feel like that tying it back before moving on to the Mom Life comics is that like, yeah, it's almost like, yes, this is happening to you, but also communicate with your significant other and set boundaries and make things like communicate. Just like. I'm not saying it's their fault by any stretch. It's just there are solutions, and if all you want to do is complain, that's totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Truly, if you just want to vent, like, oh man, my husband is whatever, my wife is whatever, I get that. That's totally acceptable, and venting can be healthy. But if you actually want solutions, like, do something about it.
And like, there's a difference between venting and like harmful venting
and whining.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I hate bad faith complaining, or not bad faith complaining. Maybe that's what I'm looking for.
Maybe that feels right.
Not even needless complaining. Needless complaining is fine because I don't know. There's complaining that makes things worse, and there's complaining because you just need to vent for a minute.
Yeah.
And complaining that makes things worse, you need to not do. And if you do it, you got to keep it private.
Yeah. Venting to Noah in like a one-on-one is not the same as posting as making a meme comic page.
Exactly. I don't know, not to accidentally become an alpha male podcast.
Nah, just do better. Just don't be sad.
Literally have no desire to ever have that happen to me.
Don't be sad.
That sounds horrific.
But it's all in your head, Noah.
Just be a man, because men are built different. And if you want to stay built different, I have Alpha 1 testosterone pills that you can buy. Use my promo code.
Listen, this goes. We've said it before on the podcast. If there's a testosterone company that will sponsor us, I will 100% jump on that. That is the funniest thing.
I don't want that at all, because that would mean
that's so funny.
I couldn't bring myself to shill testosterone pills.
Oh man, that's so funny though. We'd be so good at it though.
It's funny, but
we'd be so good at it.
But we'd be doing it as a joke. That's why it's real alpha.
No, you have a small dick. I had a small dick too until I started taking these testosterone pills.
It doesn't. Wait a minute. It's steroids. Steroids make your balls smaller.
Correct.
For a second, I thought it was testosterone. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. that doesn't make sense at all.
I'm pretty sure there's been studies about how like it truly there's nothing you can do at any stage. And there might be something you can do as like an early teenager as you're hitting puberty to affect it, but like other than that, there's literally nothing you can do. Like you are stuck with what you get, which I think is very funny on some level. And also to get real classy for a second, it blows my mind that in 2022 people are still worried about the size of their junk. Size or quality, I should say.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like it's being worried about your height, being worried about that. It's things that you can't change, and also a lot of people have a lot of opinions on.
That's so why do people bother having opinions?
Because like, people do have preferences.
Like joking, but also like I don't know, man. I don't know. It blows.
But that's the thing. Like people just do have preferences.
No, and that's totally fine.
And that's why people are nervous though. You can't fix anything if it's like a preference thing. There's nothing you can do to fix that, you know?
Nor should you have to.
Nor should you have to, but
everyone wants to be liked by everybody all the time, which is very valid and fair and understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine wanting to be liked. It's so sad.
Couldn't be me. Could be me.
On an unrelated note, how's streaming been going, Noah?
I streamed for the first time in probably 3 or 4 weeks recently.
Yeah, it was on Friday.
And it was a 6-hour Red Dead stream.
Yeah, I had it on in the background while I was at work. It was nice to see you back.
It was nice to be back. It got me inspired enough that I actually did some work to spruce up my profile.
I saw.
I got my new channel offline art, which I'm realizing with the new Twitch setup does not show unless you actually go to my channel and then you click the chat button, which will take you to my channel.
Oof, yeah, I see that.
But still, that's not the point. It's still there.
Good. It looks fucking rad. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I pulled up I just Googled TV screen test, and the one that I copied happened to have Native American with headdress on it. And Nina's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm pretty much just copying this." And she's like, "You better not copy that." And I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, dude. I'm not planning on copying that at I'm
like
planning on not being a
I
shitty person.
I love so much that Nina was like, you know,
Hey, maybe don't do that.
maybe
And
don't
I'm
do
like,
that. Yeah, no,
yeah, I
obviously.
know.
Obviously, I'm not gonna do that. That's really funny though. I really love
I
that.
thought so as well.
Oh man, that reminds me. Let me see if I can find it for you. Because I've also been slowly. So besides this past week, work has been very slow. It just has been.
hmm
So when I'm not doing work stuff, I'm planning and making, coming up with ideas for future stuff, that kind of thing. And one of the things I did recently was managed to get a. Let's see, can I find the actual file? God dang it! God dang it! Where is it? No, I managed to get an animated version of my Twitch background, like to use for transitions and stuff.
Oh, nice.
I'm very proud of myself because I managed to actually build it myself, which I have never done a ton of work in After Effects before, so that was really satisfying. Um, but like, it's fun to have things and be like, I can use this and I can show this to people.
I've considered trying to do something that's just like a nice placeholder thing, or even just a standby screen that I can throw up and mute my mic if I need to like do something real quick.
Oh yeah, I have
But
I have the "We'll Be Right Back" that your sister helped me with.
I do love that. We'll be right back.
I do love the empty throne. It's nice. I'm a huge fan.
I figure what I'll end up doing is I'll take my channel offline image and then I'll just put "please stand by" instead as the text. And oh, I love that. I love that little
Right?
spinning film reel.
It's so tiny. It's so tiny, but it made me really happy because it was something that I hadn't done before and had to like figure out myself.
But you did it, and that's
But
sick.
I did it. It is sick. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I just need to find an After Effects glitch effect or just like TV lines that I can throw over top of the image
mhm.
and have that be the fun thing because I don't know, I'm trying to have a consistent, coherent vibe, right? Like I don't know if you do this when you're out and about in public. But as someone who was checks resume a graphic designer somehow for about 2 years. Man,
I'm glad that you're as amused by that as I am. I wasn't gonna call you on it.
I fucking love that, man. Like I can put on my resume that for 2 years I was like a graphic designer and video editor, like professionally. That's stupid. But like while I can't do things, I know how to make things look. Like I've always had a decent eye for making things look. I just can't make the thing look the way I want it to look all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
absolutely do.
sometimes I'm out and about and you see something, you're like, hey, who designed that poster? It looks like shit. For example, I saw a poster and it had a fruit basket on it, and there was a little bit of bare space on the poster that highlights one of the fruit accidentally. And that fruit was a peach, and the top of the peach is facing up because it was a straight down shot at a pile of fruit, and it looks like a butthole.
I was gonna say, so it looks like a butt, yes.
And like, how did that pass? How did that like get past any type of editing process?
Yeah.
Who took that photo? Like, take that photo, use it as a stock photo, and be like, there's a peach butthole. But then, who was designing a poster, saw that, and said, oh yeah, this is great. No notes. Send it. Print it. Let's go. No one's eyes saw that. And now, granted, it was a church thing.
Of course it
Not
was.
something I made in my time as a church thing maker. However, it was on display at the place where I made things. But it was advertising material from an unrelated group for an event they were hosting at our building. You know?
Yep.
And Dan, as soon as we put it up, there were 5 or 6 of us who were like, why is there a butthole on that poster? And I know that we're the troublemaking ones, and that's kind of our thing. But come on. Come on. That's really just gonna happen like that. No one's gonna notice. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of the, and I actually do. And
I was leading to something with that. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Do you also, when you're out and about, judge other people's stuff? And I don't mean in the sense of like a small creator online who doesn't have good stuff.
Of course.
There's no reason to be shitty to that. Sometimes you made it yourself, and hey, more power to you. That's fucking sick. Sometimes though, it's a professional thing that you are handed to distribute somewhere, or like it's a label on a product. And it's just like, hey, I can't remember if I've told you this or not, but there is a local wine and it is a blend of red and white grapes. So what they did was they have a little wine splash. It's a liquid heart shape. However, if you Google chocolate wine, the cocoa vine specifically, you'll look at that logo. And that is it's a heart made out of liquid. Dan, when I tell you that this Choco Vine heart is the same as that local wine, you start to wonder, where did the local wine get their logo?
Oh, no.
Because Choco Vine's been around for an awfully long time, and their picture looks cleaner.
Curious.
I'm not saying anything, but I am saying somebody lifted some art. And it's just another situation of who okayed this? How did this get passed? I don't know. I find stuff like this very fun.
For the new D&D movie, where they used artwork of a monster that, while it exists in D&D, the artwork is from Pathfinder. Like, it's a direct lift. Yeah, it's a direct lift out of a Pathfinder book.
No. Oh, yeah, that's so funny.
On like one of their official posters.
Of all the things.
I know. Of all the companies to have that happen with. Somebody got
that's so funny.
Mad trouble. But someone was talking about it in the comments of, like, generally speaking, like, supervisors and stuff that work on these sorts of things, like, they don't have the resources or the time nor the reason, really, to go and look up and be like reverse image search each asset that they use. Like, it was some like bottom, like, you know, someone further down the line who was like, hey, I don't know how to do this, and therefore, wow, I see what you're talking about. Wow, that is, whoo boy.
It is literally, it's the same image, but slightly rotated.
Yeah, sure is.
Maybe the original heart asset is
the original heart might be stock.
Maybe it's stock. Maybe but it is exactly the same image.
Yeah.
And that's great.
That's a gift. Yeah, so D&D, yeah, so have with D&D, and apparently it just doesn't get supervised. It doesn't happen until somebody calls it out, like generally speaking, which make some sense.
Insane. But here's the thing, though, is I don't know that it does make some sense, because I'm gonna go to YouTube for this example. Obviously, you're gonna be a little more careful because you could get destroyed. But the Drawfee channel was connected to College Humor. College Humor had a strict legal team where they told them what jokes they could make, like about products, like, you know, when YouTube was just like, if you whistled a tune that almost sounded, even if you were off key, if you said the words in the right order, sometimes they'd be like, hey, that's a copyrighted song, and they'd lock you down.
Yep.
Like, they had to be careful about that. They had a series for a little while where it was drawing Pokemon from memory. And for the first couple, they popped up the Pokemon next to it. An image of this is what it's supposed to be, and this is what it became. And they had to stop posting them, even though it is well within, like, well within fair use.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to because legal said, you guys can't do that. You're not allowed to use the Pokemon images anymore. We don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
So, like, how is it that D&D doesn't have anyone looking out like that?
I mean, I don't have a good answer beyond just it. You know that somebody didn't. Like, it clearly somebody didn't. I mean, it's one of those things. I guess you kind of assume that, like, in a professional art environment, right, that people aren't just gonna blatantly lift art out of another book.
At least not your competitor's book.
Apparently, I was actually reading. Apparently, the two companies are actually on pretty good terms overall. So it's not like a burn. It's not like a Paizo's gonna sue Wizards and it's gonna be a whole thing. But it is still a hey, maybe don't fucking do that. Maybe don't do that. Just a thought.
That's wild. It's wild.
I wanted to swing back to because you mentioned the idea that of having like a good eye for like how things are supposed to look and not having the skill. And I'm finding that as I get older and as I develop the skill, I have this like ingrained fear that maybe I'm not as good at telling when things look good as I thought I once was. And that I'm hitting this kind of like creative ceiling, for lack of a better word, as far as like my work goes. In as much as like I don't have new ideas anymore. Like I just don't. Like here and there they come through and like I'm good at riffing or whatever, but that's not the same thing. Like actual fresh ideas are so difficult for me now, and even like taking a product and being like, hey, I'm gonna like for my background for
Mhm.
my Twitch stuff. Like being like, okay, I want to do something new here. I want to start on a like one of the things I've been trying to do in the background for the last couple months is like build out essentially like not clips, but like highlights. Build out like a
Yeah.
highlight set of videos. And like even simple things like coming down to like, hey, I know how to make these different styles, but I don't just want to rip off somebody else's style, but I don't know how to come up with my own style for these. I don't know. It's the idea of a creative ceiling was brought up by one of my coworkers not like maybe 2, 3, 4 months ago, and it's been like sitting in the back of my head for a while because of that. Because I'm at the point where like give me enough time, give me a couple of hours, and I can do a lot of things. I can do more than I ever could at any point in my life prior.
Mhm.
It's just I don't have ideas to apply them to right now, and that's really scary because usually it was the opposite problem.
Too many ideas, no time to do.
Exactly.
Now, out of curiosity, is it currently perhaps that while you have things that you could be doing, aka making your highlight reel, the concept of actually throwing together the whole highlight reel is so like
Exhausting.
daunting that you don't want to do that, but since that's the only idea that you have that you really want to do right now, no other ideas are coming?
Ooh, it's possible. That is extraordinarily possible. And maybe even likely, but not an excuse. Still needs to get done. Something needs to change. One, something's got to give.
2, something's got to give.
3, it's me. I'm gonna give
Oh,
up.
you're gonna give it, huh?
I'm
Oh,
giving
give
up.
up. Oh, you're giving up the highlight reel. I see, I see, I
I'm
see.
giving up ideas as a concept.
You know what? Fair enough. I also would give up ideas. It seems a happier way to live. Shall we agree to give up ideas, Dan?
Shall we together both agree? Ideas bad, actually.
No.
Perhaps here there will be ideas. Perhaps someday an idea will form, but it is not this day. Noah, I've talked to you about Fallen London many a time.
You have indeed. And every time you bring it up, I log in and I play for a day and a half and I stop playing again.
That's valid and understandable, frankly. There's an event going on right now. You like that really smooth transition? That really just liquid smooth segue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's an
That's
event
pretty
going on
great.
right now that I'm very much enjoying.
FF Gebrandt's prelapsarian exhibition.
Yes, that's the one. First of all,
Thanks for
great.
making me say that.
I was 100% gonna say it, but you started. I'm like, oh, he's going for it. The mad lad.
Oh, I hate that.
No, the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's a like community event, right? Like things are going on that are both directed. Like there's a personal story, but there's also like community milestones, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm deeply fascinated by this idea of like it reminds me very much of Baseball in some ways. Of like, yeah, the community's all working towards a common goal. Yeah, we have our own little like sideways and ways that we're doing it, but everyone's trying to get like this research done all as a group or whatever, find all these clues, whatever.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of how like I wish more games had things like that had an easier buy-in. Like the buy-in for this is just do you play the game? Like truly, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
If you play the game, you can do the event. And I wish there were, and even if you like, hey, I just started playing the game. If you are like have played it, if you started playing the game when this event started, you would have enough to get like some of the rewards, right? Like you would be able to still engage with it. And I don't know. I'm just really. I wish that there was more besides Fallen London right now, and then Baseball in general. I wish there was more things that had like an easy buy-in like that. Of like, I want to play something that has like community around it that's engaged, but also isn't really a lot of work to like. Fallen London's very easy to engage with at your own pace.
I would agree. I would very much agree. In fact.
Well, yeah, because you stop playing it and coming back, and every time you come back, you're reminded, oh, hey, this is a game. Yeah, I don't know. It's something that I wish I had more of, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Just as like a hey, this is a cool thing going on, and I like the theory behind it, a game theory behind it, I should say. But that's just a theory. No, I don't know. I really like the idea of like communities working towards unlocking pieces of lore and pieces of things like that that don't require, hey, I'm gonna go do a raid, like I'm gonna go raid like 700 times in this dungeon so I can give my contribution to the cause or whatever. Multiplayer browser games in general there aren't that many of them that aren't like there's fantasy, there's various fantasy sports, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, there really isn't much.
No, it's because there's probably just not a lot of good like stuff to get into, right? Like baseball's a totally made up sport. Fantasy
True.
sports are super popular in their circles, but they also involve like a real sport element. So if you're just not a football guy, you're just not going to have fun with it.
That's fair. Fallen London is all lore based, but it's also like very esoteric lore. Like it's an extremely like it takes some work to actually like move past like the surface level and understand what's actually going on.
I gotta be honest, I have no idea what's going on. I just click things and go.
Exactly. But that's exactly it. And I think but like there's nothing wrong with playing it like that. In the same way, there's nothing wrong with playing a fantasy sports game or a baseball game as like or getting involved with baseball as like a very casual player. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wish there was more games that had kind of that hey, I can get involved with this as a casual thing, and also there's all this other stuff going on in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is definitely fun to get into stuff like that. It's definitely fun to get into stuff like that.
I just want more. I just want there to be more. Actually, I've been noticing lately that there does seem to be a lot more games. Eldritch isn't the right word. I want to keep saying esoteric because that feels like the right word, but I could be wrong. That are very much around like, hey, we're not going to tell the player jack nor shit. Go figure it out yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been playing Sunken City, which is I think I pitched it to you. It's the under you are it is a Cthulhu mythos-esque detective game.
Mm-hmm.
Which first of all, as a premise, what a great choice of like medium, I guess would be that word. Like a great story baseline to take. But even things like there's control exists, which is obviously very like inspired by a couple of different things, but among other things like SCP, it's inspired by like SCP stuff. Fallen London, which is pretty eldritch in its own ways.
Yeah.
Baseball, which by its nature is that. And I don't know. I feel like there's been not a ton. Sorry, Sinking City, not Sunken City. I feel like there's not a ton, but there definitely are more than I've ever. Maybe it's just more than I've ever noticed before, rather than necessarily more than I've ever been.
Mm-hmm. That's possible.
Very cool. Love it. Think it's rad. Also, wish that endlessly. I want to continue doing it. Wish that there was always a little bit. Always wish there was just a little bit more for me to engage with.
I guess that's the issue with Eldritch stuff, right? Is that most of it has to be not so
Yeah.
that you can fill in a lot, because a lot of the fun is filling it in on your own. Like a lot of the fun is filling it in on your own. But sometimes, I know like me, for example, I really enjoy having things handed to me. Like we've talked about this, even just with some like experiences, like drinking, for example. I enjoy finding a tasting guide so that I know what I'm supposed to taste when I drink something.
Yeah.
Because
Valid.
sometimes I can pick things out. For example, Dan, I just found my current favorite whiskey, which is just Bushmills. It's just Irish whiskey. But it's finished in sherry casks, and I didn't know that when I had it. But my first sip, it was super smooth, and I'm like, there is a sweetness to this, and I love it. Turns out it's the sherry casks. It is so nice. I loved it a lot. And it was just really cool realizing I picked up the notes. I knew what it was supposed to taste like. I found it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to be handed, hey, this is Basil Hayden rye. Here are your tasting notes. Take a sip, you know?
It's very much like the difference between like sitting and solving a puzzle game to like have the satisfaction of completing the puzzle yourself, and also like versus like having the walkthrough up on the other window because you just want to get to the next, because you want to like be able to experience the whole thing and not have to spend 6 hours on a part that you don't necessarily care for. I feel like
I definitely get that.
like I think that it's very much it's not necessarily handing you the answers, but it's guiding you closer to the answers than you might have otherwise gotten. Because otherwise you just might get like, I know I've definitely had drinks where I'm like, I don't know what this is supposed to taste like. I don't dislike it, like it's fine, and maybe I'm getting some ideas out of it, but I definitely feel like I don't know enough to not know what I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that got away from me for a second, but I wrapped it back around.
I get what you mean. Like, man, what a mood on the puzzle game front, though. There is nothing. Okay, so I'm gonna totally derail our conversation, Dan.
Please.
My least favorite puzzle in video games is you have two statues, and every time you hop forward, they hop forward.
One of them tells only truths, and the other tells only lies.
No, but they move in the one moves You start in the middle. One moves in the opposite direction of you, and the other moves in the same direction as you. Or worse, they start on opposite corners, like maybe, or like something like that, and you have to hop them both onto their home base, but there's a maze you have to walk them each through. I hate that game because there's a correct and incorrect way to jump, and especially looking at you, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, you can get stomped on by the statue that hops because you're there on the floor while it happens. And I don't want to get stomped on.
No, I have things to do that aren't getting stomped on.
I have a life, and it doesn't involve me spending 10 minutes trying to do that. Dragon Age has another puzzle, very similar. I hate those puzzles. I will always open a guide after trying to be smart for like 5 minutes and be like, I'm smarter than the puzzle. Because I am smarter than the puzzle. I am. And if I wasn't streaming the game, you know who could figure that puzzle out quick enough? Me. But I'm streaming and I can't think. And as such, I always have a guide open on the side for stuff like that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's extremely reasonable.
I have determined, just because of that, I could never be the guy that streams a puzzle thing. I never want to, like, the people that do, what's that map game?
Oh,
where, like,
GeoGuessr.
You're dropped on a street. Yeah, GeoGuessr. I couldn't do that. And entertain people at the same time and guess where I am? Oh my God. I would die.
Well, I was talking to, this was years ago. This was years and years ago when I was playing, when I was only doing RimWorld streams for a little while, like last month. And it was pointed out to me that, like, sometimes the audience enjoys watching you struggle. Like, there is an enjoyment in, like, oh God, I'm going to spend 6 hours on this puzzle. Well, all right, everybody, strap in. We're doing this. And that's not, and like, sometimes you want to be like, you want to just get through it so you can continue the game, but sometimes the struggle of figuring out is the point.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Flip side, I know people don't watch me to watch me struggle at a puzzle. Maybe to struggle at other elements of the game. But okay, you watch me to be struggling with puzzlings. But many people do not watch me for that reason. I hope. Damn, I hope not. I hope not, because I don't want to have to start doing the puzzles.
I want you to start doing puzzles. Suffer and perish.
I can't believe you would do this to me on today, of all days. My birthday? Dan, hello?
What?
You just tuned out really hard.
No, you lost connection completely.
Oh, well, never mind then.
So I didn't hear you respond.
I just said, I can't believe you do this to me on today of all days, my birthday. And then you were dead silent. I'm like, is he trying to figure out when my birthday is? And then you were still silent. And I'm like,
Sir, come back.
Wait, what happened? You know how it is.
I do know how it is. And I do enjoy watching you struggle. I'm not going to lie to you.
Fair enough.
Not in like a mean way, just in I think it's entertaining content.
I feel like there's a difference between like struggling against an Elden Ring boss and struggling to make the statues jump.
Nah, I think actually struggling to make the statue jump is funnier. Because struggling against an Elden Ring boss requires skill, whereas struggling to make the statues jump just requires you to not be dumb. And watching people be dumb and then feel dumb and then struggle because of that is extremely funny.
I see. You just enjoy watching others suffer.
Correct.
Which is something that everyone knew, and this is not a reveal.
Dan's a bad person. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Reveal, exposed.
Didn't see that coming. Wink at the camera. I saw that coming.
Everyone saw that coming. All right.
Well, you know what else I saw coming?
The end of the episode?
The end of the... Damn, you're so good at this.
Dude, I have been... After all these years, I still know how to do it.
It's almost like you're getting better at noticing when I'm like, I am burning out. Maybe we shall end the episode.
Or
you're like, hey, I'm getting sick of listening to you.
Counterpoint, I just have the thing in front of me and I'd say, oh, hey, we're past an hour. That's usually around when Noah says, hey, it's time to go.
Us hitting the 1 hour point. And I'm just like, hey, Dan, shut the fuck up. It's time to end the episode, baby. Well, regardless. Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening to the podcast today. If you want to listen to more podcasts, then listen to more. They're right here. As I was saying, thank you for listening. I started, like, my brain... You ever watch Zoom?
Like the video conferencing platform?
No, the show on PBS back in the day.
No.
Yeah, so it was just like a little legal disclaimer about like if you sent them videos to use that it like became their property. And but also, hey, send some stuff so that we can share it with people. If you do that, it becomes something that we're allowed to distribute legally type of thing. But there was a part of me that like just defaulted into that for some reason.
It's a
As I
weird
was trying to say.
choice.
Anyway, I don't know. People who know what I'm talking about. I hope.
No, I think it's time for you to go to bed.
No. Everyone else, though, can have a great day. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and we will see you, hopefully with Jackson, maybe with Jackson. Who knows? Hopefully all three of us can get together to record next week.